think we are live now.
Yeah, we are.
Yep, we are. Say it's been live streamed. Wonderful. We are online. Woohoo. Okay, we are live streaming. Wonderful. My name is Michael Bramore. If you've joined us today, thank you very much for joining us. I'm the Chief Executive of Breck Foundation and delighted to be joined here today by Mark Harrington, SEND teacher, special education needs and disability teacher and a writer. It's written, our books, our SEND books, Breck Foundation SEND books, and it can be found online on social media at Harrington_project. So today we're just going to have a conversation about online safety and young people that have special education needs and disability, and how just to improve our understanding of how best to keep young people with SEND safe online. To start with, Mark, I think we should start on a positive note. Hopefully, we'll keep everything on a positive note generally, but in this case, there was a quote from a young person who was with SEND, from a MenCap report, and this is what the young person said: "As my main disability, my difficulty is verbal communication, the internet opened up a whole new world for me. I'm very articulate when typing, so I found it much easier to have conversations online than in real life. I started using chat rooms and online communications in order to share my special interest in a particular TV show. I even created my own website and forum for the show and got emails almost every day from fans all around the world. It made me feel like I was part of something and that people cared about my opinion. In reality, I only had a couple of friends at school and was constantly picked on and ridiculed, so the internet was an escape. I could be myself online. Nobody could see my communication difficulties or my lack of fashion sense." So yeah, this is really interesting. The internet can be a real positive for a lot of young people.
It's a fantastic tool. There's no way of denying that the internet was designed to educate and help and support and make people learn. That's what it's designed for. And I've seen like that story there, the internet can do amazing things. You can find out things, you get connected with people all over the world, you can share your interests. And I think for SND students, especially if they're in an SND school, they're basically in quite a small pond, if that makes sense. SND schools tend to be quite small, smaller classes and quite tight-knit as well. So you don't go and see very many people. And I know from my experience as a teacher, you can be with that class of 12 students for the whole of your teaching education. So there's not many ways of getting out and meeting new people until you move on to those further colleges, etc. So that way, the internet is brilliant because it offers those opportunities to speak out. And like it was talking about those barriers of communication, like eye contact, you don't need to do that online. You can basically verbalize how you want, and equally writing as well. I'm dyslexic, and writing on a computer, it sorts out most of the time your spelling, etc. So you sound better on the internet as well. And like that's talking about, when you've got a passion and you can share it, your confidence comes out naturally anyway. So in that way, it's a fantastic tool. It's for those students who are, and children that are more vulnerable, where the manipulation can start from that enjoyment and interaction.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? So let's go into that part of it. The part of the internet that is really not good, the online harms. We know from research that young people with SND they face more harms or potential harms online than those that are without. So what have you, in your experience, what have you seen, or with the young people that you encounter, what sort of difficulty, what sort of potential harms have you seen them encounter online?
So from my teaching, I can quite firmly say, since COVID and that period of time where life was on the internet, my job now within safeguarding, I would say about 90% of it is to do with online stuff. It's not stuff that's happening in school, it's stuff that's being said and dragged out onto the playground from the internet, basically. Lots of it is the name calling, sending text messages that are, you basically send a message, call someone a name, it comes back, and the student doesn't realize that that's bullying in some way. I've heard lots of girls and boys talking to not age appropriate people, sending pictures. That's very common. Equally, sending pictures to each other and not understanding the laws about images on your phone. That's a big problem. And down to grooming as well. Before I started teaching, I did some PA service with a student, and this child was talking to someone online who they thought was a 14-year-old boy. The parent said, when I was going out, could take this child to this place in the centre of town? They're going to meet up with a friend that they've been talking to. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not the parent, and I'm not going to let them off. Eventually, we did end up going as part of my job, and all I can say is a 50-year-old man turned up. So that's first-hand witness of how this can happen. And it's very easy. There's so many chat rooms and social media things that it's really hard for parents and teachers to keep up with everything, the new fashions, what's going on. And that's part of the difficulty, is understanding basically the world that these children are now living in, because it's not the same as when we were growing up. It's all online. The world is now online. It's different language almost of what everyone's got to learn. So that's my first-hand thing. And then obviously meeting the Breck Foundation, the severity of Breck's story as well. As part of the reason I got so heavily involved with it was the stuff that I see happen every day, to the extremes of that kid as well, to hearing Breck's story.
Wow. No, that is amazing. And obviously the work that you've done, on the send books that you've done for Breck Foundation are really powerful. They convey powerful messages. And not just that, the workshops that we do, when we do deliver workshops to schools that are delivering SEND, that also is really powerful. So, but you do a lot of that yourself. What are the types of teaching methods that you found work better for conveying online safety messages for children with SND?
So basically, when I started doing this with you guys about 4 years ago, the way we were delivering it was basically a lecture PowerPoint service, which doesn't work for all students, especially S&D students, where sitting down for a long time just doesn't work. Anyone who works with S&D, sitting down doesn't work for very long. So we started going back through the story and working out that actually we need to start the story and learning a lot younger than we thought, with the cognitive age, because children are now going on things as young as 4, on 5, because Minecraft, all these Roblox, all these things are pulling younger and younger audiences in now. So we need to start that conversation of learning a lot younger. So we came up with a very simple version of Breck. That's this one here. So this is called This is Breck. And the idea behind that was we stripped out the emotional side of it. So any students that struggle with the idea of feelings, we needed to take that away, and literally just do this is what happens. This is the result of what happens. And you may have seen I've done it in a big book, so that people with physical disability can actually hold it as well. Just open a page up. So we also went for very simple font, very simple sentences, and very easy images to understand. It's very literal images. And the reason we did it A4 as well is that the language for students, we can then translate for symbols as well. If anyone used symbol writing, we can then insert that onto the page as well. So it's a bit like an interactive book as well. And that's just a way of reading it and digesting it over time. And equally, a student can then pick it up in their own time and do some learning, or at home. It's something you can have lying around because it looks like a children's book. It's not a big resource in your face saying this is for school, this is a way of learning. It's designed that way that it could be found in a library, in your home, anything like that. So that one we designed with the idea of starting about 4, 6 plus with a cognitive age, because obviously students with SND, they might look like they're 10 years old, but their mindset is at 4. So it's being able to have something that was accessible for all ages as well, because lots of the stuff that I've seen in the past wasn't age appropriate. I wouldn't want to give a 16-year-old something that didn't look right. So that was our next idea, was actually that looks like a very Shirley Hughes type book. It's watercolor, it's very PC friendly. So we wanted to then move on to a bit of something a little bit cooler. This one's called Breck and the Online Troll, which we designed as a graphic novel. I'm just trying to find a page where it's a bit more graphic-y. And with this one, we didn't want to go into a heavy detail of what happened to Breck, but you want to have that impact of something can go wrong. So we immersed Breck into this idea of this gaming world. So the first half of the book is a lot of fun of, oh, look, they're playing a game, it's all laughs, la la la. And then bang slap in the middle of the book, it goes, actually, this is plot twist, this is the real side of what happened. And the artist, Evie Arden, very cleverly matched up images so that they were similar to what was going on in the gaming bit. So working with students that I've worked with, they've gone, that was the game image, but it's the same. And it's like, actually, that's the world you're living in. It matches up to what's going on. And the language in that is simple, but we start to build up that emotion of what happened. So how did Lauren feel? How did Breck feel as he was going? How was he manipulated? So we built on from that, and then we decided we need to, as we're going forward, we need to build it up more to have that really heavy punch of what really happened, but not a really heavy language, if that makes sense. We still need it to be accessible to a student of 12 who might have a reading age of 5, 6. So we then moved on to Play Virtual Live Real, which is a play version of it. So we've got graphic, we've got comic, we've got a book, we've got a play. And it's about 15 minutes long, this play. So it's perfect for assemblies. It's perfect for small drama groups, also English as well. If you're looking to introduce students to the idea of script reading, anything like literary media film, it's the perfect thing just to have that little stepping stone into it. But equally, it has that heavy emotional side to it because it deals with lots of the friends. How did the friends feel as they were being pushed away from Breck? How did mum feel? What did mum see? And it's a really powerful tool. All 3 of those, as the story deepens on and you're reading, and some of the bits are funny, and life is funny, so you have to have it in there. As the story progresses, always the feeling in the room changes. And all 3 of those books, within them, they have a 6-week scheme of work and worksheets as well. So it's easy enough to pick up and just go, right, I want to have a chat with my child about this bit today. How do I approach that? We embedded that in there, so it is a tool for parents and teachers to have a go. The other thing I've been trying recently, I managed to find him. So I've been trying to do online safety with profound learning difficulty students. So obviously not many of them be using a computer, so to speak, but there's no reason why they don't deserve to have a bit of understanding of what online safety is. The power with puppets is you can mimic the feelings and emotions that are happening. So I will try, but put the wrong jumper on him today. No, he's not going. But basically you can do, I'm scared, I'm happy, I'm being silly, but then you can do the crying and the emotion, but it detaches from you as a person. So the group I had, we'd met and mocked up a video game. They played on the video game and they got to play with Breck the puppet. But as Breck started to be sort of nasty to them and then passed on, one of the students who was non-verbal started crying and said Breck. And that was a huge moment because this child was non-verbal, but was going, Breck. And it was like, that obviously resonated with him, what was going on. and was a very powerful moment for
That
everyone
is
in the room.
definitely,
You might not
definitely.
use the computer to go in the chat room, but there was obviously some emotional attachment to the puppet and what was going on.
Yes.
And part of all the umbrella of all that stuff that we've created and been developing as well. We also created three songs as well,
Yeah.
which are all available on Spotify, iTunes, etc.
Yeah.
Streaming platform. And
And
they,
links to them are available on our website as well,
yeah,
breckfoundation.org. Yeah.
and the idea behind that is it's another way of students learning. So I recently did the Arts Award course using Breck as our base, and the
Yeah.
students came up with a dance routine to piece of the music, but then we're teaching everybody, oh, this is the Breck song, this is what happened to Breck. So they're basically controlling their education and finding out things as they're going along. Equally with Lauren's song as well, we did signing to it as well. So it's accessible for all those levels of different students, and the way we wrote them was to make them emotive, so you knew what was happening in the story, how that person, that character at that point was feeling. And all these resources make it so easy for someone to just pick up and just have those conversations, which I think for many people can be quite difficult to start off with.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really powerful stuff there. For those who maybe watching right now or will catch up on this live stream later on and who don't have the context of Breck's story, you know, our organization Breck Foundation was founded after the very tragic event of Breck Bettner's online grooming and subsequent murder in 2014. And all the books, all the materials that Mark has been talking about, the songs, they're all centered around Breck's story. And it's a powerful, powerful tool that people can use, parents can use, teachers can use, other safeguarding adults can use as well to teach young people to be safe online without the generic online safety lessons that otherwise schools sometimes, you know, come off as boring. You know, but this is really powerful stuff. So, Mark, how, you know, how can SEN teachers use these tools, you know, to really convey the message of online safety to young people and even parents as well?
Yeah, when we were writing these, we wanted them to be something that anyone could pick up and use in any shape or form. Whether it's a one-to-one, whether it's a class, hence why we did these different levels of interaction. So this is Breck is almost like a bedtime story. It's something you could do with one-to-one. Breck on the Online Troll, it can be developed into a play. There's a bit in the scheme of work about how you could do it as a assembly, a play, but very basic, a narrator, students act out. To then play virtual live real, where students get control of what's going on. They can control the play. We wrote it in a way where it wasn't basically giving you loads of ideas of what and how it looked like. The first time I did it with my students, we did it in the middle of COVID and they weren't allowed to go anywhere near each other. So we ended up recording it like a Zoom call. So the Zoom call was the play basically. And it just lends itself, this story of Breck, because it has such an impact. It unfortunately has a unhappy ending, but that unhappy ending is powerful enough to make students of all levels, whether they're SEND, parents as well, realize that they need to take control of their online safety education. They need to be doing the research. They need to be putting the time in with their students and their children to understand how this world is working, just to make everyone safe. Because like we've said at the beginning, it's a brilliant, fantastic tool. I'm not saying switch off everything. That's always the wrong way to go. It's about understanding and building up those conversations where a young person feels safe enough to come to you if they have a problem.
Absolutely. And we've talked about the positives of the internet. So we know that it's a powerful tool when used safely. So it's about safety ultimately. And we as an organization, we take a whole community approach when we're talking about online safety, children's online safety. We believe that every adult that has the potential to be engaged in any activity at all with young people, or just to encounter young people in any way in their lives, should be empowered to be able to recognize the signs of grooming and to support young people as well. But this role in, and you've talked a little bit to that, this playing that role of an adult that is aware and supportive and helping to keep young people safe is especially important for parents who are looking after children that have SND.
Yeah, definitely, because parents are usually a lot more involved in SND children and their education, and I think because of the vulnerabilities as well, there's that thing of needing that bit more support as well. But what I find is that because the internet is such a great tool and it keeps some children busy and can give parents that time where the child is able to do something independent, which can be tricky for some students, that sometimes the reins and the watching has taken off slightly, which I get. I've got kids. Sometimes you want to get on with stuff, they need something to do. However, it's very easy to go down a different path within any of the social medias, anything you look on the internet. The other day I was doing some research on teens suicide, just because there's a lot of it going on in the press at the moment. I wanted to understand a bit more for my own work what was going on, and within 3 clicks I was on a video of someone committing suicide. So it's and that's the thing, is that there's these hot words at the moment that students are interested in that are in the news, which they are looking at and trying to find out about. And it doesn't take very much to break down those walls. If you haven't got the right safety walls or the right guards or the right access for the right child at that time, like, I find it fascinating that lots of students and children are on apps which are designed for 15, 16-year-olds when their mindset might be 8 years old. They don't understand what that world and what's going to come at them, if you understand what I mean. And it's I think it's just having that wide education, that because you're an adult and you use that app or that website, that game, it still might not be suitable for that child at that age. And I think what I've said to lots of my parents is, yes, it says, I think like gaming recently, yes, it says it's 16, but what's actually your child's age? What are they going to learn from that 16-year-old game? What's the outcome for your child? Because their mindset isn't the same as what you're putting on this box. What are they going to understand from it? What are they going to take from it? And I think it's that, like we said, that wider community all coming together to understand how we can educate. And I think that's one of the brilliant things about the Breck Foundation, is that when you come to a school to deliver, you have the meeting with the teachers first of all. You have that conversation. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Then there's the conversation with the parents, whether it's on a Zoom call, face to face, or the teachers do it. They're feeling power, they can pass it on. Then there's the conversation with the students, and it's that ripple effect of education, and it just drips feed into it. But there's so much to do, and because the internet is changing so rapidly, I understand as a parent, as a teacher, it's really, really hard to keep up with it. So it's great that there's a charity like the Breck Foundation, where I know if I went onto your website, onto your social media, you can find out things very quickly from you guys because it's there. Like, what's going on with Snapchat at the moment? What's the latest thing? What's the latest problem with this game? What's the problem with this game? Because you guys are always watching on what's going on. And you're empowering everybody else. It's just raising the voice of this is available. This is here. You need to be using it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And anyone watching right now, if you need materials, resources to deal with the issues that we're talking about, you can go on our website, use all the resources that we have there. And if you need anything more, just get in touch with us. We'll be very happy to talk to you. Mark, when we were doing a light research ahead of this event, we were trying to find out more about the current situation of online safety for SND young people. We found that there were very few hard data, quantitative, statistics that might show the scale of the problem. There were qualitative, anecdotal evidence and things like that as well that we encountered. Do you think the real scale of this issue is unknown to the wider society, specifically relating to young people with SND?
Definitely. It's
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, the world of SND education and SND children in general is often one that is swept under the rug or not seen as a priority in many people's eyes. But actually, these are the ones that are going to be the ones that get swept up in the problems very quickly. These are the ones that are the most vulnerable, that have the hardest understanding of your social skills. But equally, they also have the want more than anybody else for the social interactions. Like I was saying earlier on, SEND schools are very small. If your child is being educated at home because they need to be homeschooled, the internet's fantastic because they can talk to others, but that it's just an unknown thing. And I think because the internet is exploding so fast, there's not a way of keeping tabs on this and how many SND children are online, etc. Because I'd find it fascinating to know how many safeguarding issues are cropping up in schools because of online safety. Because, like I said, I'm dealing with more and more of just the online stuff, which unfortunately lots of schools, we can't do anything because it's outside of school. It's when it drips into our playground, our classrooms, and the conversations there and causing problems there. But the initial thing is the education at home of what are they on, what are they doing, how are they interacting, and what they're saying, and who they're talking to as well. Because it's very easy to put up a photo of yourself photoshopped looking 12 years younger. You can do that seconds now. Latest thing, avatar AI programming, you can look fantastic in 12 seconds. You look like a comic book character, and if you like comic books, I'm going to talk to that person, and you could be 70, male, female, it doesn't matter. It would be fascinating to open up a bit more research into what's going on.
Absolutely. And we hope that more organizations like us will pick these things up. We are definitely working towards that as well, to build up our capacity to develop research or regional research. So we want to take a question or two from people that are watching us right now. And one question that we have is, do you think children are more receptive to parents using them or to teachers, professional? That is a question from someone on Facebook. The resources, that is, talking about the resources that we have, the SND's resources we have. Do you think children are more receptive to parents using them or teachers/professionals?
A mixture of both. I think the first thing to say with diving into any of these books is you need to have started those conversations before. It's not that, like, this evening we're going to read this. It needs to be that basically anything with special needs, it needs to be a little bit slower, introduce it, what's going on, let's have a look at this. It might even be one night you look at the cover, they help you order it as well if you're a parent. It's just saying, oh, I've heard about this book, could you help me order it? Oh, what's it about? I can't remember. Could you have a read? It's them having a bit of ownership as well. I think that's important with anything on online safety, about having ownership of it, because lots of the world is on the phone or on the pad or the computer. They need to have some ownership of it. I think the 2 storybooks, these ones, are perfect for any setting whatsoever, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher. I gave them to my girls to read on their own, just for that little bit of education, and it opened up conversations straight away about computers and online, etc. Play Virtual Live Real is much better for a class setting, just because it is designed for more than one person, and it's designed to be told rather than read on your own. But I think the beauty of the Breck and the Online Troll one is if your child is 15 or so, because it looks like a graphic novel, it doesn't look like a kid's book. We designed it with the idea that you could be older and enjoy this book more, and I think that's part of it. But I've personally found that if you're trying to initiate some of these conversations, the music is a really powerful tool as well.
Yeah.
Because we had on one of our trips out, we go out quite a lot, and one of the students was asking about what I was doing, and plugged my phone into the minibus, off we go, listening to the songs. And because they could understand the tone of the song, it then opened the conversations of, oh, what's the story behind this? Why is this kid singing about the internet? And I was like, oh, well, this is Breck, da 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 da. And as you go through the tracks, you're telling the story without even realizing. And so it's almost that thing at the beginning. If you want to start those conversations, I would go. The thing is, you know your child as well. You'll know whether they like music. Music's the wrong thing completely. You'll know if they like like stories, but we design them that someone could pick them up and use them. And we tried at the back of the book as well to give some guidelines on how to start those conversations as well.
Yeah.
And that's either as a teacher or as a parent. So
wonderful. Thanks very much, Mark. We have to end now. We have 30 minutes of conversation, and I hope everyone watching and those who are going to catch up on this recording later on will benefit from this. The resources are on our website, and we're happy to take any questions at any time. These events are they're not really events per se, but there's Facebook Live, so we want to be doing more live events going forward, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, LinkedIn potentially. And we just want our messaging. We want Breck Story to get as far as possible, to get as wide as possible, for many people to hear it, for many young people, many adults to hear it. So we'll keep doing whatever we can to get that message out. We are going to be doing more of these kind of events, so we hope you'll be joining us. Thank you very much, Mark. And yeah, so thank you very much to everyone who's joined us today, and I hope you have a wonderful evening and see you soon. Please get